Today I am going to be showing you how to make this asymmetrical one shoulder top. You are going to need at least 100 grams of yarn. That's all I used, a 4.5 millimeter hook, and maybe some crochet markers. So with this top, we're going to be working in 6 sections. Section number 1 is at the very bottom point of the asymmetrical hem. I'm just starting off my work here, and I'm going to chain 2. And in that first stitch, I'm going to go back and make 2 single crochets. And that's the very base of the hem. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, single crochet into that first stitch, another single crochet into that first stitch. So we're making 2 single crochets in the first stitch, only 1 single crochet in the second stitch, chain 1, turn my work, single crochet into that first stitch, single crochet, and the last stitch we are going to do 2 single crochets. And this whole first section is going to be done exactly like this. There's going to be one side that has a curve to it because of the 2 single crochets we did in the last stitch, and then one side is going to be straight because we are not going to be increasing at all, but we're only increasing on one side of the triangle. In this section, I did this for about 20 rows. You can do it for up to 30. Honestly, you could do it for more, you could do it for less. This is just gonna kind of elongate the point. Depending on how long you want it, you could add more rows, or if you want it to be a shorter asymmetrical hem, you could do fewer rows. It just all depends on how you want your top to come out. In case you're still confused or you need visuals, I have done a few rough sketches of each section. We are working right here, rows 1 through 20, more or less, and we're going to keep working in this section until we get to section 2. Why'd you leave me here? Making it sound like I'm not there for you. Oh. We're finished with the first section. We can move to section 2, and basically the only thing we're changing is the amount we're increasing. So instead of increasing by 2 on the increasing side, we will be increasing by 3. So I'm doing 3 single crochets on the curved side and just going down the rest of the row, single crochet in each loop. And once you get to the other side, of course, we are going to just keep this side straight. Single crochet, chain 1, turn your work, single crochet back down. To give you another lovely rough sketch, moving into this second section, we're actually going to be doing this until this top section of the garment is equal to your bust size divided by 2 plus 3 or 4 inches. And these 3 or 4 inches are going to allow for space underneath the armpit, which is going to be important. You can add a couple more inches if you want to have a little bit more extra fabric on your back, but I wouldn't do more than that. Once you have reached your preferred width and there's enough space for your armpits, I ended up going with 1.5 inches on each side, an extra 3 inches to half my bust size. I'm now going to be moving into section 3. Section 3 is kind of boring. There's no increasing, no decreasing, just back and forth, single crochet. I decided that I'm going to add 3 extra inches. I was gonna do 4, but I just didn't want a top that long. Once again, I have a beautiful visual for you for section 3. Yeah, it's just a big rectangle, no increasing, no decreasing, just for 3 solid inches. You're gonna do this until you get to the desired length of your top. You can do it as short as you want, as long as you want. I like to leave a lot of room for creativity, so don't be scared to do what you want and not exactly what I'm doing. So once your top has reached its desired length, you are going to start on the strap. In section 3, we allowed for 1 to 2 inches on either side of the garment to allow for space underneath the armpit. I am going to stop at 1.5 inches here. I'm chaining 1 here and turning my work. On this section, we'll be decreasing into the 3 stitches for a more dramatic curve. For the remainder of the row, you are just going to do a single crochet in the rest of the stitches until we get to the end. And once you get to the end of the row, you're going to stop with 1 to 2 inches left. Chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to decrease by 2 in this side. And I did 3 on accident, whoops. But the show must go on. I decreased by 2 on this side for the remainder of the section. It ended up looking fine. I'm just showing you what my decreases look like when I do it in the back and front loops. Now you see on one side we have this really dramatic decrease. The other side, you can see there's still a decrease, but it's a little less dramatic. I decided to start the next section once the top side got to 6 inches. As you can see, each of these little squares on my mat is 1 inch. I just wanted this curve to be a little less dramatic in the middle of the garment. So in section 5, we're only going to be decreasing here where we were decreasing by 3, just decreasing by 2 now. And for the last 2 sections, we're not even going to worry about the other side. It's just straight, no increasing, no decreasing, super easy. Hopefully these little sketches are helping you. I am going to link the sketches along with a written pattern in the description. Here we are getting to the straight side. Just a single crochet in the last stitch, chain 1, turn your work. And we are going to do single crochet all the way back down to the opposite side. Again, decreasing here by just these 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work, and decrease by 2 stitches once more. We are going to do single crochet all the way back down to the opposite end. No increase or decrease on this end, just a single crochet in the last stitch, chain 1, and of course, turn your work. By this point, our strap is getting increasingly smaller. Once it gets to about 2 inches, 2.5 inches, we are going to go into section 6. As my little drawing says, section 6, we're still going to be straight on that one side, and we're still going to decrease on the opposite side, but this time we are going to decrease every other row and decrease by 2 stitches. As you can see, once we get to the side we usually decrease on, we are going to do a single crochet in that last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. We're going to decrease now by 2 stitches. Whoops. Okay, having some problems here. Technical difficulties. Just do single crochet all the way down.
Made me a fool. You broke my heart at school.
Now we're getting into the lace up part of the back. So we are going to be decreasing until we get to 1 stitch and then start chaining from there.
There must be some way out of here.
Once you start chaining, the chain is going to be roughly your bust size minus the width of section 3, and then multiply that number by 3. So my bust size is 32, I'm subtracting 19, that's 13 times 3, I'm gonna do 39 inches. Once you get to the end of the chain, I'm gonna skip 1 and then go into each stitch, just a single crochet all the way back down. You could just do this single chain, but I like to reinforce my chains because I just think it adds a lot more durability to the garment. Once you get to the end of your chain, we're going to keep going on the side and stitch around the perimeter of the garment. And I'm going to the short side first, so once you get to the edge of the short side, stop and we'll go from there. I'm doing a single crochet in each row basically, but you don't want to do this part too tightly. You want to do it more loose so there's no unwanted cinching in your garment.
No, I can't escape. I can't keep calling you my dear. Oh, 'cause I'm feeling so great. Never got the time of day.
Now that we've gotten to the edge of the short side, I'm going to chain 5.
Feels like
And then I'm going to skip about 3 rows and do a single crochet. 3 more single crochets. Chain 5, skip 3, and then 4 single crochets. Whoops. It's okay to make a few mistakes. You can always go back. That's the beauty of crochet. You can always go back. And here I'm just doing 4 single crochets. And I'm just evenly spacing out my loops. You can do however many loops you want. I just find 3 works best for me. It's not too much, not too few. It helps cinch in at my waist at the perfect spots. And this is going to be one side of the lace up back that we are going to feed that lace chain we made through. I am cutting off my working yarn right here because I just want to start on a new ball of yarn so I have more to work with. But we are going to go over to the opposite side now and start on the lace chain on the top of the long side of the garment. I am going to slip stitch into this first stitch of the row and tighten it a little bit. Then we're going to chain here. So for this chain, I'm going to take off anywhere from 12 to 15 inches of the last chain just to kind of account for that shoulder part. If there's not really any stretch in your garment, you're going to want to do about 12 inches less, 10 inches less. And when we get to the end, skip 1, single crochet into the second loop and go all the way down single crochet unless you just decide to do 1 chain, and that's fine too. Once you make your way back down the chain into the garment, I'm just going to tuck in this loose end and kind of crochet over it. I'm going to do single crochets again. We're only going to do 2 loops in this side because that one strap is already acting as like a tightener, a cincher, if you will. So I'm just doing a few single crochets. You can kind of put these loops wherever you want. I decided to do them a little bit higher up because I wanted the asymmetrical point at the bottom of the hem to kind of curve towards my body, if that makes sense. I'm chaining 5 here and single crochet. I think I'm gonna do about 10 to 15 single crochets before I make my next loop.
Front door, I'll wait for you. They're not too sure how many times you've lied before. Now I just see a fucking whore.
So now that I found where I want my loop to go, I'm just chaining 5, skipping the 3 rows, and for the remainder of this side, we're just going to single crochet all the way down until we get to the point. Once you get down to the point of the asymmetrical hem, we're gonna continue single crocheting around the perimeter of the garment, but once you get to the point, you're going to chain 1, turn your work a little bit, and continue to single crochet. And I'm again tucking in this loose end so it'll make it easier to clean up afterwards. I love doing this. I'm just reiterating here that you want to do the parameter a little bit looser, especially on this hem part. It's gonna cinch pretty easily, so each row that you go in, make sure the single crochet is a pretty loose stitch. once you've gotten to the end of the hem, you can make a slip stitch where we finish the work on the short side, making the loops. We've gotten to the end, yay! We're just going to finish off the neckline with a single crochet on the edges. I'm just going to make a slip stitch where the chain meets the strap. I just found that this was the most seamless looking way to do it. Tightening and tucking that loose end, I'm going to start single crocheting down the neckline. We're going to stop right before we get to that armpit part, and in the last stitch we're just going to slip stitch and tie off our work. I am slip stitching into this last stitch. I'm going to cut off my working yarn, weave in all my loose ends, and I'm done. Now we have a beautiful asymmetrical one shoulder top. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please tag me on Instagram at cutiekittycrochet. My TikTok is LizNorris97. Please tag me. I love seeing your creations. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.